Hello there and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be trying out an eyeshadow palette by the Guicami brand. This palette is called the That's Taupe palette. It cost me £4 from AliExpress. So I have tried a couple of other eyeshadow palettes by the Guicami brand and overall I really liked the quality. However, it has definitely come to my attention that Guicami seem to be the brand that just wants to copy Colourpop like it all the time. I know there is a fine line between taking inspiration from and simply downright copying from, and I feel like the That's Taupe palette is literally just a straight copy. The other palettes that I've tried from them were very similar, but they at least kind of changed the name a little bit, changed the shades a little bit, whereas this palette, it just literally seemed like they've copied everything from the snakeskin print on the front cover to the layout of the shadows to the shadows themselves to the name. Like everything is a straight copy, so I don't really approve of that. And if I had realised before I bought it, whoa back, like this is literally a 100% copy. The only difference is it's got Guicami's name on it, not Colourpop's name on it, I probably would not have bought the palette because, as I said, it's a fine line between copying and taking inspiration from. But I do kind of feel like this palette is a copy. It's kind of like an unsettling copy for me. It's not a copy I'm so happy with, but I bought the palette, I have the palette, it's here, so I feel like, well, I'll try the palette. Like, you know what I mean? Then it's not complete waste. So this is what the palette looks like. We've got this whole snakeskin theme, and then if I open her up, we have a extremely cool toned taupey slash kind of brownie, very neutral eyeshadow palette. So ordinarily, you know, if someone described like a taupey brownie neutral eyeshadow palette, I probably would be like, oh my gosh, no thanks, I don't really want myself any of that. However, there's just something about this, and it's particularly the metallic kind of shimmery shades that I just feel like I really do like, and I'm kind of really excited about actually like using these today. So I'm going to do some swatches and then we're just going to dive into the eye look. Do you know what? I don't know if I'm going to swatch the mattes. I don't know if I can be asked. So here we have the shimmers. For the most part, they felt pretty smooth, but a couple of them did feel a little bit kind of gritty, textured and dry. Yeah, honestly, like these swatches do look very similar to the swatches from the Colourpop palette. I was really interested to see like, are they actually going to look the same or not? But I can confirm like they do look super similar. Everything's swatched nicely, everything's pigmented. I feel like everything's nicely metallic. This gold shade at the end is a little bit more sheer than the rest, but overall I think these are absolutely beautiful. And this kind of true to taupe shade really does remind me a lot of the taupe shade in the Natasha Denona palette that I just tried. I'm going to just throw up a side by side because I'm just intrigued and I want to see like how similar are they. Okay, so this is the Natasha Denona, this is the Guicami. I actually think that they're going to be quite different. I can't remember which is which either. Oh, so this is Natasha Denona, this is Guicami. So, did I even swatch the right shade? I don't know if I did. Let me just see. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, feck it, guys. I think Natasha Denona probably wins. Oh, these mattes feel very soft. Like, the mattes actually feel a lot softer than the shimmers actually did. So okay, there we go. I've not swatched the lightest shade just because we're definitely not gonna be able to see it and I just can't be asked. So okay, so one. Oh, we can't see that one. Okay, great. And then this is the deepest shade in the palette. Okay, so they look okay. Yeah, they look okay. Great. You know what, I think there's always this expectation on YouTube, like when you're reviewing like makeup or probably anything, that you have to be really like detailed in what you say, and you have to be like quite technical and like make sure you're using the correct words. But for me, those mattes they weren't awful, but they weren't great. And I just feel like that sums them up perfectly. So, yes. Okay, so I did apply my Kaleidos makeup. You would think I know the name of it by now because I use it every single day pretty much. It is this one, the Tone Activator, that's it. Oh my gosh, I've used that as an eye base. And you know what, I feel like I'm going to be a bit sick. So just one sec, guys, I'll be back. Oh, so yeah, I was sick, but don't worry, like, the show must go on. We will not let a little bit of sick get in the way of trying out an eyeshadow palette. No way. To begin the eye look today, I am going to go in with Python, which is this chocolatey kind of brown shade here, and I'm just going to be popping that all up in my crease. By the way, as well, if you can hear this kind of noise, that's just my fucking neighbour. They just seem to constantly be doing like DIY. It's just like the eternal DIY project. Ever since we bought our house like 3 years ago, they've been doing DIY, and we kept thinking they'll surely be finished with this project soon. But no, I just think that the guy just loves drilling. I mean, I'd love to see what the house looks like inside. If it's not some kind of architectural masterpiece, then I don't know what the feck are they drilling. Also, just to say, I do believe that the shade names in this palette are also identical to the shade names in the Colourpop palette. It's a strange one, really, because the Colourpop palettes only cost £10, I believe, and this palette costs £4. So it's not like there's a massive difference in price. Like, it's not like Guicami are duping or copying a Natasha Denona palette, Pat McGrath palette. You know, there's not much actual difference in the retail prices of both palettes. But I mean, just speaking like personally, and I'm not in any way justifying this as being a reason for Guicami copying, but I believe that in the US, Colourpop is actually a really affordable brand. But at one time I bought some Colourpop products, and the products themselves were actually really, really affordable. But the shipping charge and then customs, I mean, that cost me like an extra £30. So it actually turns out not to be that affordable at all if you're buying outside of the US. Do you know what? I love this shade. Like, this shade is absolute perfection. It's kind of like a warm grey, like perfect taupe shade, really. That is absolutely gorgeous, and it's blended out beautifully. Also, one thing to mention about these shadows, they do feel very soft to the touch. They almost feel like a cream, and they definitely kind of act as a cream on the lid. They just blend out so beautifully. Okay, so guys, next I'm going to go in with Boa, which is the lightest shade in the palette, and I'm going to use that just to blend out those edges, and I'm going to basically be using it to go in between my brow and where I've applied the taupe shade. Oh, I think I've still got some orange on that brush. Okay, no thank you, sir. This brush is far too big for what I want it to do, but oh well. Okay, so next I want to build up some definition into the crease. I think I'm going to go in with Rocksteady, which is the second darkest shade in the palette. This looks like a darker version of Python, which was the first taupe that we applied. So I'm just going to be popping this in my crease, and out of it, I'm just going to kind of blend it all the way. Ooh, or should I do a halo eye? Actually, I'm going to put Rocksteady just in the crease. Do you know what? I really, really like the shades in this palette so much, and I'm loving how they're blending out as well. It's just so effortless, and yeah, I really, really do love this palette. I do. Okay, so because I mean, I liked Rocksteady, but I don't really feel like it added a whole lot. So I'm going to just go hell for leather. We're going to go into the deepest shade in the palette, which is Bedrock, and it's this kind of like a cool tone brown, and I'm just going to be popping that kind of where I've just applied the previous shade. But actually, no, do you know what? I think I am going to do a halo eye today. So I'm going to pop this in the outer V and the inner V. Is that a thing, the inner V? I definitely feel like that has added a whole lot of, you know, definition, exactly what I wanted. I'm just going to go back into Python, which was that very first taupe shade that we applied. And I'm just going to use that just to blend out these edges here, because I want it to look like very smoky and almost like quite grungy, you know, up at the top. Okay, so under the eyes, I'm going to go in with a Bedrock, and I'm also going to go in with Rocksteady. So I'm going to pop Bedrock on first, and then I'm going to blend it out with Rocksteady just to make it quite smoky, but I don't want it like super intense. Okay, so I have replicated what I did on this eye over on this eye. I think everything looks really, really good. And honestly, this palette is absolutely gorgina. Yes, it is a direct copy of one of Colourpop's palettes. And I can never say that I condone that, nor do I agree with it. However, this palette is so gorgeous. It's made me want to buy the Colourpop palette because I'm just blown away by how much I enjoy this palette. And if you're a fan of cool tones, if you're a fan of like grungy, smoky, kind of grey toned looks, then yeah, I think this palette is a must have. If you're in the US, then I would definitely recommend go ahead and get the Colourpop one. But if you're outside of the US, and honestly, like I know Colourpop is really, really expensive for those not in the US, then I think this would be a really good dupe to get. And I don't necessarily feel so comfortable calling it a dupe because it's not really a dupe, it is a copy, which it does make me feel uncomfortable and definitely not quite 100% okay about using it or recommending it. But just to let you know my thoughts on the palette, like I really, really like it. And you can make of that what you will, and you can make the call as to whether you would want to go ahead and buy it and support Guicami, or whether you wouldn't really feel comfortable with that. If I realised before I purchased it that yes, this is just a direct copy, then I wouldn't have bought it in the first place. But I did buy it. Then I thought, oh, I'll try it because I don't want to waste it. And now I've ended up falling in love with it. So now I'm just in this whole inner dialogue conflict. But don't be me, be you. So I'm giving you all the facts to be you and make your decision, make the right decision for you. And at the end of the day, it's just an eyeshadow palette. So, I mean, you know, there's far bigger issues going on in the world right now. Let's face it. Do you know what I mean? If I can sit here and be worried about, oh my gosh, like, it's a copy, it's not the real thing, but they have just copied Colourpop, then I feel quite grateful that I obviously don't have a lot of other things to worry about right now, because really in the big picture of things, let's face it, it's minuscule of a problem. Next, I'm going to pop one of the metallics onto the lid. I think today I really want to go in with, I think either Snake Eye or Cold Blooded. Snake Eye kind of like a rosy gold kind of look, and then Cold Blooded is the true taupe. I think I'm going to go in with this, the rosy gold one, because I think the adding a bit of warmth may be like a good thing. So I'm just going to go in with my finger and we're just going to apply. I was going to go ahead and do like a cut crease, but then I just thought, like, what's the point? Oh, do you know what? That's pretty. Look at that. I'm not sure whether I want to like actually put it over the entire lid or just focus it, you know, in the middle, just for a little bit of like a spotlight moment. Oh, guys, that is so gorgeous. And this palette just keeps impressing me. Oh, gosh. Do you know what, guys? Like, I have to say, this is definitely one of the best palettes I've tried recently. And, you know, I've been trying Pat McGrath, I've been trying Natasha Denona, but this is sensational. I really love this palette. Like, I really, really love it. I mean, look at this, guys. Do you know what? I'm going to go in with a little bit of a wet brush, and I'm just going to really focus that beautiful shimmer on the centre of the lid, and I'm going to pop a little bit just on the inner corner as well. Okay, so I have finished the eye look, and I've just realised, no, I've not, because I've not yet popped my mascara out my lower lashes. So I'm just going to go away and do that, and then I'm going to be back and actually finish the video. Okay, so I am back finally, and I definitely have finished the look this time. So this is the final eye look. I love it. I really, really love it. And in a way, like, I don't want to love it because of the fact that this palette is a blatant copy of another palette. But if I'm reviewing the eyeshadow palette, which I am doing, then my honest review is I really love the eyeshadow palette. I love the shades in this palette. I love how easy they were to apply. I love the finished look. I do feel like with this palette, you're probably going to be limited to only a few looks because the mattes do all kind of look quite similar. Some of them are darker than others, but generally I think where the mattes are concerned for your transitions, you're always probably going to end up with quite a similar look. However, I do like that they've given us 4 different shades of metallic so that we can try and like mix it up a little bit on the lid. But yeah, I don't think you're going to be getting like 1,000,001 looks from this palette, but if you're a fan of taupes, greys, just these kind of like dark grungy eye looks but with like a pop of a beautiful shimmer on the lid, then oh my gosh, this palette is beautiful. And you know, for anyone that's maybe tried the That's Taupe palette but by Colourpop, I would actually be really interested to find out like what's the quality like, because the quality of this is amazing. So I would only imagine that the Colourpop quality is even better. Anyway guys, I really love the palette. I really would recommend, but I do definitely have that conflict about the fact that it is a copy. So, you know, I'm not really going to impose my views on that on you. I'll just let you make up your mind, you know, if you feel comfortable wanting to buy the palette or not. But anyway guys, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!